And it's so true. By the way, he's a bad guy. He's a liar. He's a bad guy. So he goes, well, it's really important. Well, how about coming up for lunch? And, speaking of Obama, he keeps talking about the environmental problems. And yet, for Christmas, he took an old 747. He talks about the carbon footprint. We don't want carbon, the carbon footprint. Does anybody believe in the carbon footprint? But let's assume, if it is true, he takes an old 747 named Air Force One, flies it to Hawaii with his kids and his wife, which is fine, and flies it back. The carbon footprint, guess what? Not so good, right? Not so good. So this guy calls, he goes, I'd like to play a round of golf with you, and I'd like to have my friends join us. This is just what I want to do, play a round of golf with some guy I hardly even know him. But he's a very aggressive guy. He throws his weight around. So I said, listen, Joe, I can't. He calls me again, calls my secretary. I'll get him to, okay. So I work out a lunch. I go up to this place, which is very nice. And he had a lot of people there. I'm shaking hands, taking pictures. They were really nice people. Everybody was nice. I'm standing there shaking hands, taking pictures, shaking hands. You know what I got out of it? One hamburger, a hamburger. That's what I got. I left, but I did it because, I figured he's the editor of a newspaper. I might be nice to him. You always like to be nice to him, right? But think of it. Now, just the whole thing is so incredible. So I don't do the forum. I help him with speeches. I make speeches. I do the Christie Twitter. I do the stuff. He wants ads. He wants everything. And then he endorses Christie. I say, that's okay. But then he just attacks me all the time and writes he's a psycho. He writes the most, and I said to myself, I don't care if he picks me or not, because the paper, it's down to nothing. It's down to the circulation is down the tubes. He's destroyed the paper. By the way, read the Wall Street Journal from 2 weeks ago. He's destroyed the paper. They say he has destroyed the paper. It all started when he got there. He now has his printing room is, I think, a kindergarten, right? It's right. They rented it out to a kindergarten. So the guy is a bad guy, but he writes these editorials about me. And he makes up quotes. He puts a quote where I'm saying, look at these yokels. I don't even know what the word yokel is. Look at these yokels. And he puts it in quotes. I never said yokels. I want to see, is there a lawyer in the house? Why don't we sue this dope? Huh? You want to sue him for me? Will you give me a good deal? Huh? No, but you want to I'd sue him. It's so dishonest. But he writes editorials, and he puts them on the front page. And I say this. See, here's the beauty of me. When we have a dirty dog like that who's no good, who's a failure, he's a failure. His paper will be closed within the next year or two, okay? Now, when we have a dirty dog like that, at least I have a microphone where I can speak back. And I say to myself, it's so negative. I hate to be doing it. But here's a guy who's truly a dishonest guy. Here's a guy who's a bad guy. I have so much correspondence where he's asking for ads and all this stuff, you got to go back, check out my tweets. Look at the Christie tweet. It was so crazy. It was crazy. I'm saying, why am I doing this? I'm doing it for the guy. He's going, please do it. Please do it. He should be on the main stage. I said, but McQuaid, he doesn't qualify for the main stage. But he should be there anyway. The guy's a loser. Okay, so check it out. Your paper guy is bad. He's a bad guy. And it's always good to have a real paper in town, not a paper that wants ads. Probably if I would have given him ads, I would have gotten the endorsement. Who the hell knows? Probably I would have. Maybe if I did the debate, I would have gotten. Why wouldn't you give me the endorsement? who's better than me? And I'm going to win we're going to win. So I love to bring it out. I love to bring it. That's one of the things I like about Twitter. I'm able to go do in, a few words. If somebody hits me, I can hit them back. In the old days, I couldn't do it. When you have 12 million people between Twitter and Facebook, that's like owning the New York Times without the losses, You just go bing, bing, they hit you. You go bing, 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 bing. All of a sudden, they're devastated. They're calling up. So anyway, watch that guy because he's a very dishonest person, and you're probably not going to be able to watch him much longer. He'll probably have to move out of town. So when I did what I did, I said, borders, we have to watch. We have to watch all these different things. But after Paris, it changed. And CNN, who's back there right now with that beautiful camera, that big, beautiful, expensive one that costs about $200,000 for a thing. They're getting smaller and more expensive. Do you ever notice? The technology is unbelievable. They can press a button, it gets sent to the studio. It's the most incredible. That's why you can't make any mistakes. Because you'll be on television before you walk off the platform. It's crazy. But CNN does a poll, and the poll comes out, who's best on ISIS? Trump. who's by far, I don't mean by a little bit. I mean, Trump has like 58%. And that's when you had, at that time, 15, 16 people. Who's best on the border? Trump. Who's best on the economy? Who's best on life? Who's got the best personality? No, not Trump. That way. These are my people. These are my people. That's funny. That's actually quite funny. We could go on like that all day. Actually, one of the things they had me is I have the most loyal people. I had the most loyal people. They do say that. They do say that. And I made a joke last week. I said I could do something in the middle of Fifth Avenue. Do you remember? And the press said, oh, what? And my people would never leave. No, I'm laughing. They're laughing. We had a huge audience. And they're laughing. I'm laughing. I said I could do X. Nothing wrong with it. Next day, oh, Trump says it's shooting. These people are the worst. Are the worst. And basically, what I say is we have the most loyal people. And the polls have said that. That, in fact, you ever notice where they say, who's going to stick no matter what? Trump, 69%. Other guys, like 9%. So when they go, I mean, I have people. These are my people. And by the way, the 69, then who's probably going to stick? I'm into the 90s, okay? In other words, I don't even think I have to campaign anymore. Why am I even wasting my time? I don't have to campaign. I can leave here right now. They're going to vote for me. Anyway, no, I love my people. I mean, I love my people. There's an honesty. But you know what it is? They want to see our country be great again. It's very simple. These are incredible people. These people are incredible people. And it doesn't matter whether I'm in New Hampshire, whether I'm in Iowa, no matter where I go. Dallas, Texas, we had 21,000 people in the Mavericks Arena. Mobile, Alabama, doesn't matter. They're like people. You would love them. They would love you. It's a silent majority that I now call the noisy majority, right? It's a noisy because they're... And you remember a couple of weeks ago when Nikki Haley, who's a good woman, but she made a speech after the president's speech. President's speech wasn't so hot. And Nikki, in her speech, and I'm friendly with her, but I didn't like her speeches so much at the beginning because she said, angry that Donald Trump, he was usually referring to me, angry. And they hit me with it, and I was up on a stage doing something. They said, are you angry? And I said, actually, I am angry. It was during the debate, right? Now, if I was a politician, I'd say, oh, no, I'm not angry. Things are just wonderful. Okay? And remember the question right after she gave it. And there was a tremendous backlash against what she had said. It was a tremendous backlash. And by the end of the day, she said, no, Donald Trump has a right to be angry, and he's a friend of mine, he's a supporter of mine. It was a much different tone. And I'm not blaming her. I'm saying fine. But we have a right to be angry, folks. We have a right. We have $19 trillion. Our vets are being taken care of badly. We give this beautiful service. You want a license to an illegal immigrant? No problem. You want hospitalization? I mean, the whole thing is crazy. They have a town in California where the town council wants to be taken over by illegal immigrants. In other words, the whole town, they're going to have them running the town. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen, but it was on the other day. Illegal immigrants want to take over the city council. No citizens. This is what we're getting to. This is where we're coming. And nobody wants to fight them because it's not politically correct, okay? Okay? Nobody wants to fight them. No, but think of it. Nobody wants to fight them. So we're going to put our country back on track, okay? We're going to put it back. And in a nutshell, and I'll tell you what. I saw one of these guys that I'm running against the other day. They said, we think we can balance the budget within 25 years. I said, 25 years? You've been seeing that, where they're coming in with these balancing budgets, 25 years, 24 years, 21 years. I mean, you get great guys to run your agencies, right? You say, see if you can cut them 4%, 5%. Instead of going up 8% every year, 6%, 4%, 10%. cut them. But you need the right people. The problem is in the agencies, with everything, we have political hacks. We have guys that gave money and contributions to the Jebs of the world, to Ted Cruz, who's totally controlled by the oil industry, to these people that are running for office, and they get the jobs, and they're no good at it. They're no good. And then when we have to negotiate with China, instead of using Carl Icahn, who's a billionaire many times over, who doesn't want 10 cents, he would love to do it. It's sport. Number one, he loves the country. Number two, it's sport. He would love to straighten out the problem with China. We have a $500 billion trade deficit with China, okay? I want Carl Icahn or one of our great business people to do it. I know them all. And we're going to have, with Japan, with China, we're going to have our best people negotiating, folks, okay? And we're going to get it down to what it should be. You know, if you look, and I say this, and it's rough, but I get along great with China and the Chinese people. I've made great deals with them. I have the biggest bank in the world as a tenant of mine in Manhattan in one of my buildings, one of the biggest bank in the world. And I sell condos to the Chinese. With Mexico, I have a great relationship. The problem is, and I employ thousands and thousands of Hispanics, and they're fantastic. The problem is their leaders are too smart for our leaders. I mean, there's a story in the Wall Street Journal yesterday about Mexico. I don't know if anybody saw it, about the tremendous corruption and all the problems. And all the things I say, they're all right. I was right. I was way ahead of schedule. But the leaders are too smart for our leaders. And they're too cunning for our leaders. They're cunning, they're smart, they're sharp. They don't want to house somebody in prison for 30 years when the United States will do it, even though they send them over the border and they kill people before you get them. And then we have to take care of them for 40 years, for the rest of their lives. Or you have the anchor babies. I was right about the anchor babies. A woman's pregnant. She steps across the border. She has a baby. Congratulations. We take care of that baby for 90 years or however long the baby lives. It doesn't work that way. Let me tell you, I was right about it. Remember, everyone said, well, if you're born here, automatically you're a citizen. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't say that. And they have said for years, if I didn't bring it up, it was standard routine law for people to say, if you're born on our soil, that baby is yours. So a woman from someplace in South America is here. She's not legal for our country. She steps across, has the baby here. The baby's ours. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And by the way, try pulling that stunt. Try pulling that stunt in Mexico or any of the countries in South America. They'd laugh you right the hell out of the country, okay? They'll laugh you right. He says they'll shoot you. But they'll laugh you right the hell out of the country. So what happened is all of a sudden people said, can you imagine Donald Trump said that baby is not a U.S. citizen? Now, Ted Cruz may not be a U.S. citizen, right? But he's an anchor baby. No, he's an anchor baby. Ted Cruz is an anchor baby in Canada. But Canada doesn't accept anchor babies. They just waited a long time. Okay. But look, it is a problem for him, by the way. I think that's one of the reasons he's crashing. I think that's one of the reasons he's a nervous wreck, too. He's figuring, what the hell happened? Remember when I first brought that up? Everybody said, oh, that doesn't mean anything. That was about a week ago. Now they're saying, I think his career is over, right? No, he can continue to be a U.S. senator. How about this? He's a citizen of Canada, and he was a senator from Texas, and he's a citizen of Canada, joint with the U.S. How the hell does that work? But he said he didn't know he was a citizen of Canada. And he didn't know about Goldman Sachs loaning him money. And he didn't know about Citibank loaning him money. Other than that, he's got a very good memory, okay? Oh, these politicians. What are we going to do with these politicians? It's not going to be that way with me. And one of the things, and I have to say, because they love it in New Hampshire, it's true, politicians, all talk, no action. They're never going to get you there, folks, I can tell you. I know them all. I know them all. I know them all. One of the things that to me, so important, I'm self-funding, right? I'm self-funding my campaign. I'm putting up my own money. When I take a plane up here, I'm paying for it. When I drive over here, I'm paying for it. When I turned down, in fact, one of the guys that gave $1 million last night, thank you very much. I don't know what the hell he said, but it sounds good. He didn't sound like a protester. I love the protest. You know, I like the protesters because they always show how many people are in a room. That's why I like, because the cameras otherwise will never show. So I always love protesters, especially when they're up in the outer banks of a stadium and they have to show. They hate to show those protesters. They like them right around here. But we're self-funding. I'm self-funding my campaign. And one of the guys last night got up. He gave $1 million to the vets. A very rich guy, great guy from Las Vegas, Phil. And he said, I gave millions of dollars to Donald Trump to run, and he sent it right back to me. He said, I don't want your money. He said, I never had that before. Phil saying, that never happened before. But Hillary's got a lot of banking money, and all these guys, everyone other than me, they're all taking all of this vast amount of money and from people, and they have control. I mean, that's why Ted Cruz didn't want people to say that he's got on his financial disclosure form, he didn't want to put Goldman